Hey y'all, this is Whitney, and welcome back to another episode of Spastic Chatter. If you didn't know, Spastic Chatter is a platform meant to feature those in the cerebral palsy community, and I get together weekly with individuals with CP like myself to have an uncensored chat, if you will, about what it's like living with this type of disability. And for this week, I took to Instagram again, guys, to find interesting guests, and I came across Carly, and she seemed like a really cool girl, and she's into plays. She's an actress with cerebral palsy, so I'm gonna let Carly introduce herself, and then we'll get on to the conversation.
Hey guys, I'm Carly. I'm a 29-year-old from Canada, where it's really cold and snowy and gross right now. Yuck. I am a actor and a playwright, just getting on to the professional scene, but my work primarily focuses around allyship and theater for young audiences, because I think it's super important for kids to learn things so that they're nice adults when they grow up. I am a wheelchair user, and I have a 9-year-old black lab named Oakley, who is my mobility service dog as well.
That's awesome. So I do this sometimes. I'm gonna take it way back. How was your childhood growing up with cerebral palsy? I know that's a weird question because when people ask me that, I'm like, it was normal, but everybody's answer is different. So, how was your childhood growing up?
I'm with you. I think my childhood was quote unquote normal for what I knew, but I ended up spending a lot of time in hospital for some hip surgeries because my hips and CP just came, if one happened, the other had to happen. So I spent a lot of time in hospitals with that aspect. But other than that, I was a normal kid, and I think my parents prided themselves on letting me be a normal kid.
Yeah.
And just that was, I had CP, so what, right? And it never defined me then, and it definitely hasn't defined me now.
That's cool. I can totally relate on hip surgeries. Those are the most painful ones. I've had it done twice or like 3 times, and that is the most painful. Hip surgeries are no fun.
And were you ever in those like casts there was a broomstick between your legs?
The half body cast, like yes, yeah, totally. So at what age did you get into like plays and stuff?
I was living in Toronto at the time, which is a fairly big arts hub in Canada, and my best friend was a guy, and he wanted to get into hockey, and he was like, "Hey, do you want an audition spot for something that I don't really want to do much anymore?" And I was like, "Sure, it'll give me something to do." And I literally just went in for the kids course. I really wanted to be an elf that like sung and danced a song about making toys. That was literally the song. And the director called me back 2 days later and offered me one of the leads.
That's awesome.
And I was like, I like this world. I want to do more of it.
Yeah, exactly. I always say that like you put me in front of a stage, and that's like my happy, and like in front of a bunch of people, that's like my happy place. Like I'm not shy whatsoever. But you put me like one-on-one like job interviews, and like I'm a nervous wreck. But you can put me in front of a stage, in front of like hundreds of people, and I'm totally fine. But like that one-on-one interaction, I'm like a nervous wreck.
Oh God, me too. Every time I go into a job interview, I'm always just like, can I have a script and a song and a piano, please? I'm really good at that.
Yeah, so how do like being in plays and being on stage and stuff, do you think that helps your confidence, like with your like self-esteem, like um being
Yeah,
or
yeah.
did you have a
Oh,
problem with that beforehand? Like or have you
oh,
always been confident?
I still have a problem with it. Like you said, I'm 99.9% comfortable and happy when I'm doing something arts related. Like, cuz giving yourself that creative control, I find it often sometimes the only control we have,
Yeah.
especially with the medical system. And I don't know about you, but like funding goes away when you're an adult and you
Oh,
barely
totally.
get any sort, and there's no real activities for adults. Like it's always just like, you're a kid, great. Oh wait, you
Yeah,
turned 18, you don't get anything anymore. So like dealing with all that frustration at the end of the day, if I have a creative something to outlet to put my energy into, that saves me. Like my mental health is saved 120%.
exactly. Yeah, I agree with that. So did you go to school for theater, or like did you like do any like higher ed or anything like that?
Well, let me tell you that story because that's a whole story.
Uh,
So I really wanted to be like, I was like, because at the time I didn't know, like, representation in the arts wasn't a thing, right? So I was gonna go and be a teacher of drama because I thought that was a really smart idea. Um, I I love kids, but I don't like teaching. Thank God for all our teachers in this world. So I went down away for school to a school that offered a decent B.Ed BA program in theater, and it was, it was like 4 hours away. Life is good. I'm all independent. Second day of classes, I walk into like an English class for drama geeks. You like read plays and wrote papers on them, and it was part of your degree. So like nothing to do with performance, nothing to do with anything else. But the teacher looked at me and said, "You're not here for theater, are you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I've actually been in musical theater since the age of like 8. So I'm good. Like I've been doing this for 10 years. I'm good." And she's like, "Don't actually expect to make a career out of it. If you're gonna do anything, go into technical theater." And I was like, that's not happening, but whatever. So I like survived a semester with a prof that literally failed me out of her class because she thought I wasn't capable of anything. Which is hilarious because she never saw anything come out of my mouth. Like, I was there to write her papers, and that was it. And then the second semester, I took a dance class or a movement class, and I was the only kid in that class that somehow got an A. No
really?
one got an A, but I got an A, and it wasn't out of pity either, because I would like,
I was
I
about to say, is it a pity? Is it a
no, I brought my walker to dance class. I brought my manual chair to dance class. Like I was like, you want me to do something? Just let me watch it and figure it out, and I'll do my own thing. And she was so. By the end of the semester, she was like, "This is weird, but I like it. I think I really like. I appreciate that you putting so much effort into it." But because of the fact that I had that one teacher that failed me and a department behind this person that obviously didn't believe in diversity, I didn't I didn't feel like I could successfully complete the full 5 years without literally losing my mind. So
Yeah.
I left that and I went into arts administration back closer to home, which was like the closest I thought I'd ever, like, after that experience I was like, I'm never gonna do anything professional, yada yada yada. Like I had come to terms with the fact that representation sucks. And then right out of school I got a job at a like a bigger regional theater in town, and everyone kept telling me to go back and do my own thing again. And so that's what kind of threw me it back into the world of, no, this really is my happy place, and there's no more putting it on the back burner anymore, because it's not what, if I'm not doing that, I'm not entirely happy.
Yeah, that I can't like the whole time like for people because people can't see they can only see you when you're talking. The whole time Carly was talking about her teacher, my mouth was like open. Like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah, no, and she's still employed there, like now,
that's
like
ridiculous.
10 years later, she's still employed there, and she still has her favorites, and that's a thing.
That, that is ridiculous. But I like how it seems like that one negative person. It seems like you had a support system telling you to go back and follow your dreams. So you had more people in your corner than that one negative.
Yeah, and I've had other teachers and other opportunities and other auditions where people are like, I don't know what to do with you. You'd be perfect, but I just don't like know how to handle you. So I just like chalk it all up and be like, haha, look where I am now, suckers.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. So what is so I don't know how many plays you've been in, but what can you name a favorite one a favorite role that you played or a favorite play in itself?
So the theater company that actually like the community theater company that I work with primarily now, which isn't any of my professional work, but they do a lot of review shows, which is like they string a bunch of songs that are related together, and it's basically just music and dance. So like we'll do a Rodgers and Hammerstein night or something like that. So my favorite number that I've ever done. Do you know Chicago?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know the song "I Can't Do It Alone"?
Yeah, I think so. I think
my my music director at the time, and it's like a big ass dance number, and so my music director at the time, it was for a fringe show, summer theater festival, and he was like, I'm gonna give you that song, and I was like, what? Like, it just made no sense because it was a dance number, and he's like, no, we're gonna change the words, and I'm gonna like we're gonna talk about Oakley and your dog, and we're gonna make the dog dance. And I was like, we're gonna what now? Like, what are we doing? And sure enough, like, it's this whole number about how like I do all the work and she does nothing, but at the end she jumps on my chair and actually dances. Like, that's one of her commands. And I use it at every single audition now because it's just like, it breaks the ice for everyone because they're like, you have a dog that dances. That's the best thing I've ever seen.
That's very funny.
Yes.
That's very funny. That's very cool. So you keep saying like your professional career. So what's the difference between just like acting and being a professional?
Well, I worked with that community theater program for, what am I on now? Like 12 years, something, like, it's been crazy. But just in the last 2 years, I've like gotten into the fact that I've become a bigger advocate for representation in the arts, and part of that is shows also have to be written by disabled artists. Like, they can't just like, you can't just make the character with a disability the trope, like the Tiny Tim or the poor little pity one. Like, you gotta start centering disability in every aspect of art. So I had a horrible experience with another fringe show with a different company that I did that basically was a huge amount of discrimination, and I had decided that I was going to fight the inaccessibility of art with art. So I had asked a friend if she wanted to write a show with me, and she agreed, crazily enough. I'd never written a show, never gone on to like professional level theater and equity contracts and all that. Like, I knew nothing about that. I still am on the cusp of like, yay, professional, and yay, getting paid for what I love to do. But this show over the last 2 years, like, we've been able to hire equity actors, and we've been able to like really give me some professional development to like transfer over into that professional world, and like put money on the fact that we're good. Like, the show that we have going where it is right now is really good. Like, we're
cool.
really proud of it. So my hopes and my dreams is that this show explodes onto the Theater for Young Audiences stream when it's ready to, and we're close. We're almost done writing it and fixing it and writing it again and fixing it and doing all that. But professional is just the fact that I like get paid to do what I love, and that people are saying they actually like the show. Like, we're getting recommendations from people that I looked up to at my old job, and things like that.
That's awesome. So that kind of leads me to my next question. With 2020 being like a whirlwind of a year for everybody, how has COVID affected your acting or like your career and things like that? Has it put it on a whole on hold or?
It actually, funny enough, made it more accessible.
Yeah.
Like, I find Zoom the greatest invention known to man. I just finished a workshop last week and I've been working with this same professional company all over COVID, but they're from Toronto and I'm in Edmonton, so I'm way closer to the West Coast, and they're, Eastern Canada-ish. And it's just been great the fact that I can have artists from like all over being in the same room, making it accessible so I don't have to travel as much, although I love to travel. And like my co-writers and co-creators are from Toronto, so even just us being able to have meetings face to face instead of spending 4 hours on the phone, like, I have been extremely lucky to be able to do this while we're stuck in a world where nothing else makes sense. And we're fully aware of the fact that, like, theater as we know it probably won't come back for another year or two, but that doesn't mean that in this conversation about disability and allyship and awareness, we can figure out some way to have it go out to people when it's ready.
That's awesome. That's very cool. So at towards the end of the conversation, I always ask my guests if they have any advice for people that are going through similar situations as themselves. So do you have any advice for someone that wants to get into playwrights or acting or anything in general?
I think you just got, like, the one thing that I've learned recently is to, like, it's okay to take up space. It's okay to tell your story. Your story has value. You have value. That took me a long time to figure out because I'm so used to being, stuck in the back row during a dance number or something like that, right? Like, it doesn't come naturally to us that are oppressed by the system, oppressed by other people, oppressed by people that are desperately trying not to be ableist, but then they turn into being an ableistic jerk. And I think just owning your story and being proud of what you bring to the table and surrounding yourself by people that are that think like you, that have the same values as you, that work on the same playing field is what's going to get you far in whatever career, whatever outlet, or whatever it is you're trying to accomplish.
That's very awesome. That's great advice. So where can people follow your journey, Carly? Where's your social media?
I am on Instagram as CarlyGirl24, my show is called Tune to A, like tune to the letter A. The main character's name is Ava. It's a whole thing. It makes sense when you see the play. It will pretty quickly start to have a media, like a media handle, just because we're just getting to the end of writing it. So we're just getting it out into the world. I've tried TikTok and I'm trying to get better at TikTok. My username over there is Wheelie Carly, so Wheelie WHEELIE and then Carly. I'm too old for all these social media things.
I know, me too.
I primarily use Instagram more than anything else, unless you've got my parents' friends on Facebook, but like I rarely do that as much. So Instagram is where to find me, and as the show becomes a thing, I will be posting all information about that.
Very cool. Well, I'll link all that information in the description so people can check you out.
Awesome.
Thank you for agreeing to be on Spastic Chatter. I had a really good time talking to you. And
thanks, Brittany.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, if you want to be on an episode, there is a link in the description or comment below wherever you see this video. And check back next week for another episode of Spastic Chatter. Thanks. Bye.